Welcome to The Prize Inside. The Prize Inside. A chiropractor's journey in everyday holistic health and vitality. Here, your host, Dr. Jeremy Myers, delves into the remarkable journeys of everyday people who have embraced the path to health and healing. Through his practice, Dr. Jeremy encounters inspiring stories of profound transformation and the power of true healing within each of us. Stay tuned as we discuss various holistic topics and unlock the healing potential that lies within us all.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Prize Inside 1% Tribe Edition, Sunday nights. Tonight, we're going to talk about a little age with intention. And so tonight is one of those that we go through if you don't know, if this is your first time here, how we do it is we look at the thing called innate intelligence, right? So we look at the chiropractic philosophy is all about the innate intelligence of the body. The way the innate intelligence of the body is able to do what it needs to do is to have nothing interfere with it. And with that, what can interfere with it? Thoughts, toxins, or trauma. So those three pillars literally create your health and vitality by getting in the way, interfering with this innate intelligence signal. Okay. And so tonight is about thoughts. So tonight should be pretty fun. I was trying to think of some good words, and I think this is kind of what the 1% tribe is all about. So tonight will be that. Why I started the 1% tribe on Sunday night is for this exact talk. Age with intention, a chiropractor's blueprint. Okay. So before we start, let me put my banners up. Remember, because I'm almost there. If you use the Rumble app or YouTube, subscribe to the Prize Inside, a chiropractor's journey on Rumble or YouTube. So that's what that looks like. And then the other one to really get into, I'm really enjoying it. I get some back and forth in there. It's a small newsletter list, but it's my newsletter list, and I like it because you can actually reach out to me back and message me, but look up tribe1.substack.com. So tribe1.substack.com. And this is a website that allows us to make newsletters and all those kind of things. Hopefully you guys got to meet or come and listen on Wednesday night. That was really fun. I'm hoping the audio was good. Kirsten Shockey, she has 5 really, really good books on, I don't know if they're bestsellers or not, but they have to be close, in fermented foods. And we went through, and it was fantastic. It was like, I was a little overwhelmed in what even to ask, because it's been a long time since I've gotten into that interview flow, but expect more of those, expect more interviews. I love trying to find the people, and that's what the Prize Inside is about, right? Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And Kirsten is an expert in all things fermented. So it was funny. As soon as we're done, I immediately went and got her all her books. Fermentation in ciders that don't have to be alcohol. There can be so many cool things. Did you know you can make your own soy sauce fermented to make it good for you? That's fantastic. So just remember that, tribe1.substack.com, or the Prize Inside, a chiropractor's journey on Rumble or YouTube. Let's get up to that 100 mark. That's what I'm looking for. So without further ado, I hope you guys are going to enjoy this one tonight. it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. It's called Aging with Intention. And what we have to do is start changing some mindsets, not necessarily who we are. Okay. So, Age with Intention, a chiropractor's blueprint. So, what are we going to do tonight? Okay. And so, hopefully, we'll enjoy this one. It's supposed to be pretty fun tonight, too. I mean, since my Michigan State Spartans made it to the Sweet 16, I'm sitting on cloud pretty good, right? So, and this is, by the way, guys, this is like one of my second favorite weekend. So you had actually, the whole March Madness is the awesome weekend. So I just love this as a sport. So hopefully you guys are out there enjoying just watching the games. It's like crazy. You put in everything for each game like that. It's pretty cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to reframe the aging process. In that sense, I want you to think of epigenetics, right? So we've had that conversation before. We probably need to go back and do another epigenetics conversation. 4 pillars of aging with intention. And what can you start like now? And then a little bit of what I do that's really, really seemed to work with me, and so as we go, okay? All right. So, what our first thing is, what we're going to say, what if age wasn't something that happened to you, but something that you actually got to design? Ooh, that one hurts. That one hurts some people's things. So, I want to give you the story of Norm today. And this isn't Norm from Cheers or anything, but we're going to start there. So, Norm is one of my patients that started right before COVID. Well, I would say I'd seen him 15 or so years ago, when he was probably in his 80s. We kind of drifted, I didn't see him a lot after he was mid 80s and he had lost his wife, and his wife was his best buddy. And so I didn't see him for a while. And then when he started coming back, it was very interesting. It was one of those things where you're just like, Norm, what's going on? He's like, my best buddy died. I don't know what, he didn't know, he didn't have a reasoning, to, live or anything, but he was a smart ass. So like a lot of times we would go in and we're like, what? That's, I'd start messing with him. I'm like, well, what do you like to do? He goes, I don't know what I do. And this guy is in his mid 80s. He cuts his own wood for firewood. So he's outdoor wood burning. A lot of people in Michigan have these. If you're not from Michigan, you have these outdoor wood burners and they like heat your house. It's free heat, but it's a lot of work, right? It's like a big time effort, but oh man, the heat that comes out of that is pretty good. But he would, fire up his he'd cut his own wood. He'd do all these things. Well, one of the things he told me, he was like, I just don't have anything. I'm like, find a hobby. You ask me about nutrition all the time. So go, get a book from Barnes and Noble or something, on nutrition, right? So I left it at that. No one ever takes me actually seriously. If you've ever met me, I'm not like the very serious guy. So I don't pay attention to it for a long, long time. So, he gets adjusted when his back hurts. That's how Norm has always done it. And I'm not going to question an 80-year-old. I get to take out with him, every few months. So 3 months goes by and all of a sudden he comes in and he's like, okay, what's our plan? I go, what's our plan for what? He's like, I've been reading like crazy, all these nutrition books. And one of them says that I need to be in the chiropractor like every month, just checking everything because of the communication patterns of the spine and nervous system. And remind me, this guy's 87 probably at this time. So I'm going, what? He's like, no, you were right. I got into this nutrition stuff and it's really fun. It just gives me something to do. He started getting pretty active, started cooking for himself better because his wife was the big mainstay that kept them healthy in their world of things. But as he was going, I was like, I had never been prouder of a guy to like actually do this, right? And so that was 15 years ago. I've been practicing 26 years ago, 26 years, and I have a decent amount of memory that I can remember these kind of things for a long, long time. But so we started taking care of him all the time, and he'd walk. I wish I could exaggerate this different. Norm, after he did this, was the guy that he would sit next to you in the waiting room, and you'd think he maybe late 70s. And if I would have told you, hey, that morning he cut the wood he needed to cut, he meal prepped. That was one of the craziest parts of Norm. He'd meal prep for the week. What do you got to do at 92? I don't know where you got to prep the meal. Go off to some service club thing. And then I was there, we'd get adjusted, and then he'd always have these cool questions that were coming out of all these nutrition books he was reading. And it was nonstop. And me and him would talk about different ones, as he goes. Well, 94 kind of comes around. And I got to tell you the end of this story because it was the funniest thing I've ever. Okay. So if you remember our COVID stuff, right? So the COVID stuff he's going through, and you're 93 or 92, the fear that they put into people scared him off for a few months. So of course he delays all that until we get through quite a bit of that, but we're still wearing these masks and all that stuff. So he comes in, he goes, Jeremy, we got to solve another problem. I go, what's that? He goes, well, I got the COVID. I go, you did? You got the COVID? He goes, yeah, I got the COVID. I was like, do you still have the COVID? And he goes, no, I feel great. I did vitamin D, C, and zinc. Like me and you had your little list there, and I had all my nutrition books. So I got over it in a few months. I go, well, what's the problem? He goes, the old guys I go to coffee with won't let me go to the coffee house. I go, why? He goes, because they don't understand COVID, so they think I still have it. Oh, they think you have it like the plague. Oh, that's wild. So me and him are just laughing about it in a sense. He's like, it's not funny. I love those guys. We love, we talk about all this stuff. I really want to get back to going. I go, well, try this. Are they old like you? He goes, yeah. Like, they're in their 80s, but yeah. I go, just go. Don't ask permission. Just go. I go, they won't remember why they kicked you out. And sure as nothing. That's why I wanted to teach you the story of Norm, because Norm is as simple as health can be if we have the intention, right? He could have been, 15 years ago when his wife died. It was bad. It was bad. He might as well have just sat on a couch and died, because that does happen. We all have seen it. We all had loved ones that happens to. And he was voicing that was going to be his path. And, for whatever reason, that little conversation 15 years ago and getting him into these nutrition books, some of them were crazy. I mean, like, he knew more stuff, I swear. And it was so neat to watch, like he changed his mindset. He changed his mindset on aging. He changed his mindset on life in general in that sense. But a 92-year-old or 94-year-old that can cut his own firewood is pretty remarkable, right? And feeling good most of the time. He was only coming to a chiropractor to check his spine, basically. He was making sure all the alls are working. If I'm going to, cut my firewood, I want to make sure, right? And so that's what we're going to go over today. I wanted to just dive in there and tell you, like, the amount of people I see in a day is pretty high. The amount of miracles I see on this end, the ones that are aging, with intention, it can go so high, so much higher. And I think this conversation could be so, so good, because I can see, we're going to go through a few of these, situations, but, just wanted to give you that one from Norm, because he's awesome. To this day, makes me laugh every day. But we need to walk away with a new mindset on this aging and give you some great tools that we can really make this an actual reality. Okay. So that's the biggest thing. Okay. So first thing is we need to reframe the aging process because our entire societal problem is the way we actually look at it. And it's petrifying in some things, and I'm going to be blunt a lot of times with some of these other things. Um, how do I say this? Being nice. It's kind of like we're stuck with, um, man, it's kind of like we're stuck. Hang on, sorry, my computer's messing up on me a little bit. We're kind of stuck in this situation where and I hate to I'm gonna use a bad word, but it's gonna be so it's kind of like we are stuck in this matrix that we think aging is like is so bad. It's like you're looking at a bulimic person or something. Our concept and our programming that's occurred in our brain is saying, I mean, we get inundated, guys, like thousands of images of the perfect woman, the perfect male, what it looks like to be this way, what it looks like to be that way, just to drive these products and drive these procedures and do all these kind of things. And what has occurred is like people will go in like if somebody's had a person, so bulimia is this condition where the person thinks they're constantly too heavy, and sometimes they'll like they vomit their food, and they get such in a big habit of doing that that they start to literally like degrade their muscle, their bone, teeth, all those things start to go away, and they still think they're fat. They're like skin and bones at the end. It's like, and you look at them and you go, oh my God, you know, you got a problem, right? We have some kind of issue there. But in our society, we do that too, like where I'm not saying it's perfect, if you're overweight or, those kind of things, but we put so much on it. We're almost like bulimic to the youth. Like I don't know if that's a great way to say it, but we're like bulimic to trying to stay young. And because we're so violently ready for that youth, situation, we make very terrible decisions. Putting injections in places they probably don't need to go, taking supplements that, there was literally an entire trend, and it's still happening, by the way. Okay, so whether you agree with me or not on the Ozempic and the GLP-1 type situation, what they found is in people with true diabetics, like type 2, it actually has some really good health benefits to it. But if you don't have diabetes, everything's working properly, it can be pretty severe on it's kind of like one of those things, if I don't have a blood pressure problem or a heart problem or whatever, taking a blood pressure pill doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Because there's no actual problem there. Ozempic was one of these, or there are lots of names for the different ones. People were literally trying to screw up their sugars so that the insurance would pay for it, even though they didn't have the condition. And I think this is still going today. Like where people were like, oh, well, I'll eat before my blood work, or, those kind of things. But it should raise a huge flag, but that's the pull, right? That's what I'm talking about. It's almost like this bulimic strength of programming, right? We always have this subconscious program that kind of runs in our background, tells us who we are. Today, my biggest thing is if I can reframe all of us, to understanding that aging is this beautiful process. It always is. We're literally growing every single day, but we're not going to look like an AI video of when you're 20, those things pass, they move beyond. Good example is the Japanese culture. The Japanese culture actually like celebrates when somebody has gray or white hair, right? They love that aging process as we go. Culturally, it means wisdom, right? What does America do? We dye it. We hide it under something. We do something that doesn't allow the gray hair thing to happen. And all of us know everyone that's been through this crap before. And, like all of us have a little bit of this because it's every single day, you know, from the movies to the magazines to the holy smokes. No wonder why we have like programming issues. Why are they doing it? Because they know about it. They know your subconscious programs wanting to do all these things. So remember that. So what I wanted to go through today is what they call lifespan versus health span. Okay. So I got a little definition here. So I'm going to read it real quick. Hang on. Let me bring that. Okay. So here, I like this definition. So hopefully you'll understand this. Lifespan versus health span. We live in a culture that is obsessed with how long we live, but very few people are asking more important question. How well are we living? That is the difference between lifespan and health span. Lifespan is simply the number of years your heart keeps beating. Health span is the number of those years you are truly vital, mobile, clear-minded, and pain-free. Years where you are actually showing up for your life rather than just enduring it. Here is the sobering reality. The average person spends the last 10 to 15 years of their life in a state of declining health, managing chronic disease, and losing independence. That gap between your health starts to decline when you actually pass. That is that is what we call the health span gap. As a chiropractor, closing that gap is exactly what drives me each and every single day. Because I just don't want to live to 90. I want you to be hiking. I want you to be playing with your grandkids, traveling, waking up without pain at 90. That is what aging with intention actually looks like. And the beautiful truth is the choices you make right now directly determine how wide or how narrow that gap is going to be. Okay, so I had to read that one. I'm sorry. But so a lot of times, lifespan versus health span. Why don't we make the quality of the life that we have currently the best we possibly can? I keep seeing it. It's crazy in the health space. And one reason I thought of this topic was some of the top dudes, the top podcasts, the top all those things. And it's not to their detriment, but they get a ton of views for, youth serum type stuff. Like, ooh, we can do this and we can do that. When we don't actually talk about aging with it. And we're going to talk about a little bit of that tonight with some different things that we're going to do to start that process of learning how to age with that intention in mind. Okay. So do it as a joy. Yeah. You're not going to score 30 points in the basketball at the March Madness, but I can sure enjoy it. I can sure still play, basketball with my kids and stuff. Right. And that's what we have to start getting to. Okay. So that's lifespan versus health span. Why most people are aging. We try to, okay. So we look at aging in a spot of reactivity versus intentionally. Okay. So reactivity means all of the health that we've always thought is always on the back burner. It's not just once in a while on the back burner. It is always. Why? Because our program puts everything else before that. And if I could get that out of you tonight, just that little piece is that this cannot be on your to-do list number 10. If you want to age with intention, you have to age. You have to make this one of those priorities for yourself. I tell this story all the time at the office. Did you know, let's say I'll just make up something. let's say you have a knee that, let's say you sprained your ankle severely. Let's say it actually, you had to put it in, it was so bad, you should probably go get an x-ray. Okay. But your dog or your cat needed to have a hip replacement, and that hip replacement was going to cost you $750, or for the dog is going to cost you $750 cash. But you had to get your knee, or you should get your ankle looked at with an x-ray, which costs like, let's say $60. And then putting a cast on that sucker, another 60. So 120 out the door, right? So which one do you guys think people did first? Absolutely. If you said the dog or the dog or the cat, that was more of a priority than the ankle that you could hardly move to feed the actual dog. Okay. So why does that happen? Programming, our mindset on aging. What we've done is we've said since aging, we're like, we never want to age. We watched all our everybody else age. And what a lot of people will do is try to forget until there's a problem, right? Wait until there's an absolute condition out there. And then, I only get blood work when there's something wrong with me. I only get glasses when I can't see stuff correctly, right? Imagine if you just brush your teeth when just your teeth hurt. That's crazy. We wouldn't do that, right? But let's say some people would. All of these things, I'm only gonna, once all of these things become reactive. That's why they call it the sick care model, right? The only reason I want to go into the sick care model, which is crazily breaking in real time, it's like evolving in front of us right now. It's wild. Like how everybody's waking up to how garbage it is to like just have a sick care model. When you go in, you're super sick. And so the only way, to make money in the healthcare system is to make sure all the beds are full. So are you gonna make sure, all those beds are empty? I don't think so. So that's one of the hard things is we have the sick care model versus the true health, which is literally living with intention and intentional health, right? So, okay. All right. So, and then the big thing, the other one I wanted to talk about tonight is the cultural view. The cultural view that, aging's genetic. There's nothing we can do about it. All these different things is all, if you've been with me, go back to the epigenetics episode and show you proof, absolute proof that is not true. Genetics do not mean that you have to age the same as your grandfather and your grandfather before them. You're not beholden to the genetics within. It's all choices. It's all choices to start changing the genetic expression that actually can happen for you. And so that is a whole conversation on itself. But the cultural differences, you should look like this at 50. You should look at this at 60. It really, really messes with so many people that it's really, really hard. I have a friend. I don't think I've ever seen a picture of this person without some kind of filter. Like, how you have friends, Facebook friends and all that things. It's crazy. And she's beautiful. She's a nice lady. She's like, there's no crazy anything that I would think, but her image of herself is in that filter. And that's what's tough. That's the troubling part, right? Because if you already think, a negative about yourself, it's really going to be hard to age well and age and understand it and, go as you go. So just hopefully this will be good. But that's where a lot of times the reframing aging is probably one that chiropractic should understand, because the people that use chiropractic in their lives, on a regular basis, you literally see them change to a more functional person. But chiropractic is not about pain and back pain and all those things overall. It can do those things, and it's fantastic doing those. But imagine if you could actually improve your function day to day, it'd be even better. Okay, so here's the 4 pillars that we're going to talk about of aging with intention. So my first one is we want to talk about the communication patterns, spinal health, and the nervous system, making sure why your spine is the command center of healthy aging. So we're going to talk about that. Movement must be part of your life. Movement has to be the medicine you choose. Functional mobility, which is what we're going to talk about. There's a difference between functional mobility and working out, like fitness stuff, because sometimes the fitness stuff actually gets us in trouble. Inflammation and nutrition. This is really a big one in accelerating aging pretty fast. And then mindset and stress mastery, which each one of these will just kind of talk through. I don't have a ton of slides on all this, but I have a few good videos that we're going to watch. How chronic stress ages you faster than almost anything on this list. Okay, so let's talk about it. So spine health and the nervous system. Let me do my share screen. Oh, that's not right. Okay, so share the screen. Let me look, actually. Okay. Let me get this ready for you guys first. Okay. Cool. Okay. Now I will share. Okay. Here we go.
Hey, I'm with ABC.
There we go.
Your nerves are literally everywhere around here. We'll start from the most important ones, which are going through your spine and your brain. This thick cluster of nerves is called the central nervous system, or CNS. It's responsible for everything you do, from breathing to tapping your finger on the side of your smartphone while waiting until I get to the topic already. When a signal gets to the CNS in the brain from any part of the body, it sends back a command to react according to the situation. Pinch yourself now. Yeah, please do it. Ow! The place you've just pinched has a lot of neurons, just like anywhere else. When you pressed the skin, they flared up and sent the information about pain to the brain, which reacted by sending back a message that it hurt. It all happened in less than a millisecond, but the signal traveled several feet there and back. Let's go to the spinal cord now and carry out a little experiment. On the count of 1, I'll sever the connections between the neurons here, and you'll see what happens. Ready? 1. See, you've just become limp from your waist down and can't feel anything in your legs. It's because your CNS can't figure out where they are. Okay, restoring the connections now. Don't worry. This is why both your brain and spinal cord are naturally protected by bones, the skull, and the vertebrae. Inside the spinal column, there's also cerebrospinal fluid, a liquid substance that protects the nerves, helps better conduct signals, and gets rid of waste. Okay, now let's take a closer look at all the rest of the nerves, starting with the ones at the tips of your fingers. Everything that's not the CNS is called peripheral nervous system.
All right. So before I go on for more, that was a pretty good one. So it's showing you the communication patterns, right? So the central nervous system runs through the spinal cord and it's protected. One of the things we must do as we do this aging process, and a lot of people, it's the funniest part because it's really, if the body's able to communicate properly, then a lot of things either you catch early, let's say something's really bothersome, or you're everything starts to work correctly, right? And what's neat is like, how can you have a guy, good example. Let's go back to Norm for a second. Norm started reading nutrition books. And when he started doing that, he started getting into it and started eating better, right? And he started doing the chiropractic thing. Norm actually moved almost as good. You're going to age as you go, but almost as good as he did, from 90 years old to 93. There wasn't much change in what he, like a lot of decline and wheelchair bound and all those things. A lot of times you're going to see a lot of those aging patterns when communication goes away, when communication patterns start being interrupted by what? Thoughts, toxins, trauma, just like before, right? So our job is to rid our body, and our aging is to get rid of all that interference so that our body can literally thrive. So I thought that was pretty good. Let me see. Let me go back in. Let's do it again because I want you to finish this one. This is a pretty good one. I like where they're going.
Or PNS. Will you kindly wave your hand now? Thanks. You've been able to do that because your brain consciously sent several million signals to the peripheral nerves in your shoulder, forearm, wrist, and hand. Together, they made a common effort to lift your arm, fix it in a certain position, and wave the hand from side to side. And responsible for this effort is your voluntary or somatic nervous system. Your eyebrows going up at this fact are also controlled by the same nerves. Did you count how many breaths you took while listening to my ramblings? The beats your heart had made. You shouldn't have. These things are regulated by your vegetative or involuntary nervous system. Your CNS.
All right, now he's going to talk about the involuntary nervous system. So this one, we're going to talk about it right after he's done with this part.
Sends signals to the periphery and tells your heart to beat, your respiratory system to let the air in and out, and even your bowels to digest the food you eat. Now, blow all the air out of your lungs and hold your breath for as long as you can. Okay, this will take some time, so fast forward to the point where you start wanting to breathe in. Letting the air out and holding your breath are your conscious actions, so it's you who tells your brain to send signals to the breathing organs. But when you start lacking oxygen, it's already your brain that tells you to stop fooling around. Oh, I see you're becoming blue in the face. Please inhale already. And now I'll do something you'll have to forgive me for. Ow! Sorry, you dropped the phone because I sent a little shock through it. The point is, you subconsciously let your phone go as soon as you felt the pain.
That is really cool. That's called the clasp knife reflex. So I always thought that was a cool way to go about it. But yeah. So let me stop sharing that for a minute. And then, so you guys get the idea. So with brain and nervous system, there's so much intricacies. There's like 3 different communication systems, right? So I always think of it like you have your light switch, right, of your house. So you have your house light switch. But there's other places in your house where electricity is running, but you don't have control of it, right? Oh, excuse me. Sorry. I thought that would work. I thought I had a little mute thing. But so you have like the light switch would be like moving your hands, right? Being able to control on and off switches in your house, turn off the lights. The electrical stuff that's running in the background, let's say you're heating, cooling, or that one pump or whatever, they're involuntary. They're running without your direction. Okay. So just remember that as we go. But your spine and nervous system are such a critical piece to this that it's kind of mind blowing sometimes as a chiropractor that we're like, man, we don't look at the communication thing first, which is always insane to me. But that's all right. It's all good. All right. So this one's a good one too. The movement is medicine. Let's talk about functional mobility versus physical fitness. One of the problems with aging gracefully or aging and remaking this aging shift is there's 2 pieces. One, there's people that, when they start to age, they start to slow down and pick habits that don't allow movement. That's where most people think everybody is. But there's another one that's a little more scary to me. And just maybe it's because it's my generation of people. I have these people that will physical fitness themselves into making their body go into advanced aging. Have a story of a lady that could not stop her brain. She needed counseling, really. She could not stop running. So she'd run like 10 miles a day, and she hurt herself pretty good lifting something. And the mileage was fine for a long, long time. And then this happened, and she just couldn't even stop, And so you see those type of situations both ways, especially as we age, right? So everybody's like, oh, I can't weight lift anymore, I'm too old. You hear that one probably 95% of the time, which is just crazy. I don't know. I want to be one of them old guys that's like doing all that stuff. But then you also have the ones that go a little too far and cause their, self to age quicker, right? And so that's where functional movement might be where you want to be at. And we'll go through it because it's a pretty cool concept. So functional movement's not physical fitness. It's everyday movement patterns, right? Everyday movement patterns. What's 1% Tribe all about? It's figuring out a process each and every day, because if you figure out one little holistic, healthy step forward, 1% better than yesterday, by the end of the year, you're 365% better than you were the year before. And you're going to notice a difference. Okay. So let me bring up functional. This one dude does a really good job. All right. Oh, this guy. Okay, hang on. There we go. Let's share the screen. And sorry about the ads.
No producer, no editor, no tech skills, just Riverside. I get
talking about how pull-ups aren't functional movements. All right, welcome back everyone. Dr. Ben, not a real doctor here. And today let's talk about the difference between exercises and functional movements. So, I don't know, a while back I did a video talking about how pull-ups aren't functional movements. And some of the comments I've gotten on that makes me feel like I probably didn't explain that concept as well as I should have. Now, before we get into this whole thing, just before anybody gets super pissed off about this, just remember, I do not have the final say on what a functional movement is and what a functional movement isn't. This is just my opinion, my professional opinion based on my experience and research. So there are lots of ways to look at this. But comparing exercises and functional movements, I feel like there's a very clear distinction between the two. And the big thing is that exercises focus on training muscles, whereas movements focus on training neurology. You're improving the movement. So take, for example, something like a sit-up. Well, you could make the case that this is a functional movement because it is getting your torso up off the ground. The general purpose of a sit-up is actually to train your abdominal muscles. There's not a whole lot of thought of the application of a sit-up. Doing sit-ups is getting better at doing sit-ups, doing more sit-ups, and basically building strength or endurance or size in your abdominal muscles. Whereas something like a get-up is, while functionally similar to a sit-up, the purpose is getting up off the ground. So once you get to a certain point with a get-up, you're going to add intensity or you're going to add complexity to continue to train the movement, to make that movement more applicable to more situations. And in the case of like a pull-up, so one of the comments I got was that pull-ups are functional because they're good at training grip strength and pulling power. If that's your standard for a functional movement, then there are millions. The number of functional movements is basically every exercise you ever do in a gym, because that is what an exercise does, is it trains muscles. So my point on that video that a pull-up is not a functional movement is because the pull-up doesn't really accomplish anything. It gets your chin up above a bar and then you come back down. The purpose is to get better at doing pull-ups, to do more pull-ups, do pull-ups with heavier weight. But the goal is pull-ups. Whereas a functional movement, like a swing up of some sort, is to get on top of the object that you're doing the movement on. The goal is not to be able to do more pull or more swing ups. The goal is to get on top of the object. And I feel like that's the strong distinction between an exercise and a functional movement.
Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. So this is a really cool idea. Like as you go. So functional movements are things you would do in life, right? So good example is the thing called the get up. You lay on your back, you get up off the floor. There's a lot to that. A lot of us need to be able to do that. And it gets harder as we age, right? But it's a great exercise. It's a great functional movement to really hone in on all the different things. What I like about functional movements more is that it shows you if we're in this aging process that I'm going to change you to, like this reframe, then you know what you have to work on, right? So if you know if you know you have to work on getting up from laying down, if I know it hurts to get off the toilet because of my knees and my hips, that functional movement, like a squat, a lunge, all of these things are good. They're exercises, but why not take that functional movement and go, okay, I'm going to climb a ladder. I'm going to go up some stairs. I'm going to jump over a certain thing, right? These are all different kinds of what they call, when you look it up, you'll look up functional movements. What can you integrate into your daily life that is like that? Now, what's cool about that is that you can actually add it to your daily life pretty easy. You're like, oh, well, I need to be able to carry certain things, from one side of the house to the other. So I'm going to do what they call farmer's carry, where I'm going to carry one thing in each arm, and I'm going to carry that across to the rest of the house. These are things that you can add in to your day and say, functionally, how did that go? Right. And then you can use exercise too to improve upon all that stuff. Like that's the beauty of, thinking functional movement. So we're going to integrate that as well. So that's one of the major pillars, right? So we got to get the communication pattern going, the movement patterns. We got to start looking at that. Am I just limping with like a pirate every day, but I've never improved that? That's going to age you if you just limp all the time, right? So let's work on that stuff daily. Okay, so inflammation and nutrition is the next one. Inflammation, understanding that most of our foods are ridiculously full of garbage. Okay, so we have fake sugars all over the place. We have all these chemical things that cause inflammation. Inflammation is your body saying, hey, there's a problem in the human body. So it's saying inflammation's like, I tell people, it's kind of like, I have a bunch of factory guys, right? So I got a bunch of factory guys, and some of them are plumbers, electricians, that kind of thing. If those plumbers and electricians are working, then the corporation's not making any money. So that's kind of what the immune cells are. Okay, the inflammation cells. If the inflammation cells are working and have to work all the time, then your body's not making the money. It's not being able to grow, like growth. So and we're going to go into that in a minute, but like we want our body to constantly be having the ability to grow. And inflammation and understanding our diet and nutrition is a huge deal. So it's too much for tonight, but if you go back on my Rumble videos, we've talked about inflammatory diets, a lot of different aspects of that. Okay. All right. So let's keep going. Mindset and stress mastery. This is where I wanted to leave us tonight as well, because, we talk about this a lot. Meditation, visualization, a lot of these things could be really, really good. So I got another great one. Okay. So we're not going to watch this whole thing, obviously. Oh, of course it does that. Okay. All right. Share screen. But Okay.
Every penny. I wasn't fully convinced the Skylight calendar would be able to do it until I finally got one. Let me tell you.
Your brain is the most powerful weapon in the world. Once you put away your phones and your computers and all that we have nowadays, yeah, that's great. We're up to date. But your brain is the only thing you have when you're going through depression, when you're going through hard times, you're going through death, real life. You can't Google that, man. You're alone. You're alone. You may have a shrink you're going to, you may have a best friend you're going to, but there's 24 hours in the day where you're alone in this brain, and your brain is talking to you in all kinds of ways, and it wants to control you and pull you in these different pockets. If you can't control your own brain and your brain controls you, you got to tell your brain where you want to go and how you want to go and how you want to get there. You got to control it. If not, it's over. What existed for me was, okay, man, how am I going to make this work? And all I knew back then was hard work. The only way anything gets accomplished. That's all I heard back in those days. You got to work hard. You got to work hard. I'm not getting I can't get this paragraph. I can't remember what the f***'s in this paragraph to pass this test to get in the military. Read again. Still not getting it. Read again. But if you're not getting it, write it out. And that's how I started learning. Okay, well, I got to write out everything I do. And then write it out again. And write it out again. And guess what happened? I got it. I can't swim. I'm negative buoyant. Go back in. I can't swim. Go back again. Go back again. Go back again. I got it. I realized if I keep going back and going back and going back until the just becomes, your mind will say, okay, we're going to figure it out, because he is not going to stop. It's not like I'm going to try one more time. No, it's just like alarm clock goes off, boop, we're going back.
Oof. All right. So I love that. So now that he's done talking about something so true, when you look at mindset, when you look at visualization, so meditation, visualization, some of the best anti-aging processes in the world. How many of us do it though? Not many. But you know what I know? Norm did it. Remember Norm way in the back? Remember that? He could have chose a different way. His mind could have taken him in a different path when his wife passed, but he chose a different way. So when you look at these kind of things, when you don't do those, when we start to look at, when I say meditation's key, visualization's key, prayer's key, all of these things, right? These aren't just little things. These are what allow you to have exponential growth over time and age really, really well. Okay. So remember that. Meditation, visualization, do them. Prayer meditation, amazing. Do it, right? Problem is we say it all the time, but yet we never put it to it, right? Let these mind stressful situations get to us so much when instead of take that step back, take the 40,000 foot view and then see how it rolls. So with that said, let's go into the final one. I think this is it. Yeah. So what you can start today. Let me see. I thought I put my stuff in. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'll do that at the end. So what you can start with your mindset, start with understanding, you know what? I'm going to age different. I'm going to reframe how I'm doing this. I'm going to look at everything. I'm going to say, oh, it's not my uncle's old arthritic shoulder. It's going to be the one that I rehab to the perfectness, because no doctor's going to do it just out of a miracle. They'll try to give you a pill for it. But the problem is like, it's all you. But if I start every day, 1 to 2% a day, watch what happens. Watch what happens. I'm telling you right now, Norm proved it to me. 26 years of being a chiropractor proves it to me. I've seen it so many times. We need to change our programming on our approach to aging and start really looking at this. This probably could be the key to societal everything. Why did the Japanese culture age so much different? Why? It's because they appreciate it. They actually love. They enrich themselves with that aging process. But we need to get it out of our programming that aging is a bad thing. Okay. Do some of those functional movements that we said. Get into that functional thing. How am I getting up off the ground? Can I get off? If I laid on my back right now on the floor, can I get up? Am I breathing hard when I get up? Right. That's why those things called Turkish get-ups are so fantastic in the CrossFit stuff. Consult us on steps we can do. Like I said, chiropractic is a big part. So if you're around us, come in and ask. And I'm going to show you a couple of things that we do that kind of keep you on that right direction, because the chiropractor can act like your coach in helping you do this aging process really, really well. It's a trainer for the entire span of your life. Eat. I love this. This is I think I should quote this. Eat like every calorie you eat means something. Eat like it means something. Eat like everyone you do is benefiting you in some way. Right? Let's get rid of this inflammation junk stuff. Right? The moment you eat those Cheetos, right? Understand the age process. Just you went backwards. Maybe it's an hour, but it's still different. And all of us are not perfect. So do not worry about that part. But if you start in your mindset being like, man, if I put all this good healing, good food in me, maybe my cells will really, really like that. Learn to improve your stress adaptation, right? Learn to not look at aging as this thing that's like we're kind of to try to hide from, but let's embrace it. Let's go after it. Let's get these meditations, visualizations, prayers going in the right direction. Okay, so for my last thing tonight, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I hope so, but I know sometimes the topic I just get all into it, but this one was a good one, and it's probably one of those that it won't be my biggest show, obviously, but if you listen hard enough, the Norm story is worth it. All right, so my personal blueprint is this is every day, guys, but this is not yet. I didn't start this yesterday. It took me years. I do a meditation in the morning, visualization at night. Sometimes I'll switch those so my brain doesn't get actually used to it. So meditation in the morning, visualization at night. Every day I have a stretch routine, basically functional movement patterns where I make sure that I have warmed up essentially every joint of my body. I won't adjust somebody until I go through that. That only started about 10 years ago. And that was maybe 10, 15 years ago is when Norm told me he doesn't leave his house unless he has this warm-up routine, right? I will do only black coffee and water because black coffee is the best. There's no such thing as other coffee drinkers. If you put anything in them, you are a hot chocolate drinker. You are not a coffee drinker, just to let you know. And then I do water the rest of the day. A lot of times, I should put my nutrition up here. I did not do that, but I'll eat throughout the day as well, but we'll do that at some point. Do not try to get any fake sugars in that entire time, especially in the morning. That's the key. I try to learn something every day. Okay. This is not a joke. This is something that my brain has actually gotten used to over time. People think, oh my gosh, you do so much stuff. I don't. I just learned a lot. I try to get that brain to actually interact with this learning thing. Right now, I'm learning podcast, like making my podcast better through like maybe some of these AI tools out there. That'd be pretty cool. So I'm kind of watching that. I do Duolingo every morning for French. Um, small little lessons, but my robotics kids thinks it's hilarious. I have like 2 streaks of like 4 years or something. Um, they couldn't believe that I had done Duolingo every day like that, but that was a good one. Like I'm learning French as we go. 3D printer. I got my 3D printer in a new location, so I'm learning some CAD stuff. Very terrible at the CAD stuff, but these are things that keep you going. You try to learn something new all the time. Do something for entertainment as possible. So have at least a moment of laughter, per day. Some people are like, oh, I'm so busy. I'm so tired, right? At least have like a moment, right? Rachel and I, oh my God, we just love, we always get so busy. It's one of our worst things out there. We'd be like, oh, I got this meeting and I got that. And then we don't get to watch our cool, like if we find a show we really like, we have this like exploratory binge watching show stuff. So we try to find a show that we both like really, really like. If we don't, we watch, she watches her thing, I'll watch mine, but then we come together at that moment. And so right now we have like 2 that are pretty good. so, but with those 2, so now we're like, oh, because for a long time, you don't have, it's hard to find that kind of thing. But entertainment, family game night, that's one of my favorites. I can't wait for you guys to know, but I created my own board game. I'm pretty pumped. I cannot wait to show you guys. I got to get it through. I got to convince my children to help me play it so I can see how good it is. But that's a little harder than you'd think. So, but we love playing board games. This one called Mexican Train Dominoes. Oh my God. So stuff like that. Do something for entertainment if possible. Family game night is my favorite by far. But it could be watch a show together. Create something every day. This is a key I'm going to end it on this part because we need this. We need this. A lot of people are freaked out about this like AI and all these different things. What I know is we weren't put on, God didn't put us here. The innate intelligence, the universal forces of this earth are not here to just maintain. It's here to create. And so AI is not going to take over in the sense of our ability to create anything, but we give it up by allowing, programming to run how we think and how we feel. So think about it, instead of like after work, instead of, whittling on the back porch, people, creating a bird or something, we go and watch TV and they get to tell you as they're creating, you're watching. You're not creating anything watching TV over there, right? That's why a lot of times I believe that a lot of my ladies, my women, they knit, they sew, they read, they find this creativity and they make this neat stuff. And I really believe it does actually make them a lot healthier than guys, because guys will not pick up things to create. So I say create. That's a big one. I struggle with that as well. But if you've met my office, they know I'm like a squirrel with all kinds. I got to constantly be doing something, or creating something. And so sometimes that's a detriment in business because you start doing too many improvements or trying to create this and that, right? And then you got to follow through though. That's one of the big things that I have a problem with, but I'm getting much, much better at that once I figured that out. Right. So can't just keep creating stuff and then half butt doing it. Right. But like tonight I was able to do, my birthday present this year was a new grill. It's almost done. Cannot wait. Oh, it's going to be a glorious year for that. So just remember that. Create something. So meditate, visualize. So in recap, what my day would, my meditation in the morning, visualization at night, or switched. A stretching routine in the morning, or a routine. Usually it's in the morning. I'll do black coffee, but the rest of the day I do water. Limit the fake sugars. Try to learn something new. Do something entertainment if possible. You know, like family game, something like that. Create something new every day because the world wants you to do that. I have a lot more on there. I work out 5 days a week, 6 days a week, you know. But I will leave you with this for the final and go watch some basketball for the rest of the night. So I want you to do this. This is my quote, and then we'll leave it at that. Take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. That was by Jim Rohn. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed it tonight. Next week will be, or watch us for Wednesday night, 8:30 for Whole Health Weekly. I'm hoping I might have a interview lined up. If not, we're going to go back into what's trending, and it's really fun anyway. So 8:30 Wednesday night, tribe1.substack.com. The Prize Inside on Rumble or YouTube. So it's Prize Inside a Chiropractor Journey. And I will see you Wednesday. Have a great one.